let's go to the prosecution of Donald J. Trump. So I'm curious what your take on this is, Aida and Rashad. So the House has impeached him for the second time. That happened on his term, and now we're past his term, but the conviction continues. So that's in the Senate, where they need 2/3 of the Senate to convict him. And reportedly, Mitch McConnell is considering actually voting to convict. I don't know if that's real or not real. Of course, there'll be the school of thought that says unity, as we don't look backwards, we look forwards. They say that with a straight face, and Obama said it with a straight face, even though literally every single crime is done in the past. And then there'll be others who say, no, we must set a precedent for the future. And of course, I think it's a relatively easy question for us. But there will be tremendous rage from the right wing, and we don't negotiate with terrorists. I get that, but then there'll be a third point of view, which maybe is a little bit more compelling, and that's why I'm curious what you guys say. Which is, don't waste time on it. Let's go. $15 minimum wage, paid family leave act, etc. So let's start with you, Aida. Where do you land on that?
I think Donald Trump should go to jail. I think Donald Trump should be held accountable for his crimes. When I think about Khalif Browder, who went to jail and died as wrongfully incarcerated, and the list of endless names of people who look like us on this, who don't have the privilege to just walk about the planet committing crimes, and if the right wing gets upset, so what? We are actually speaking in their best interest as well, even if they don't know it and are able to accept the fact that those people who are progressives are fighting for the righteous, what we all are and should be entitled to. And I'm so upset, but I do think that two things can happen at the same time. And I'm tired of these administration, these people who are able to get paid through a pandemic and live their best lives, wear the nicest garbs to inauguration, to not be able to handle a couple of things at the same time, when the average American has to figure out how to go to work in the middle of a pandemic and continue to live a life under these circumstances while they play with the money. And then when it comes to this stuff, it's like, oh, we can't do all of this. Yeah, you can. Why don't y'all get to work? Why don't y'all sit down and get to work, get off of television, stop trying to high five with celebrities, and get down to the business of the people of this country? So yes, he could go to jail with his little family and his friends who have all been abusing the American people and making so much profit with the greatest hustle of all time in the White House. And at the same time, they can handle this agenda because Bernie Sanders is older than all of them, and he shows up for work every single day.
Rashad.
Yeah, Trump belongs in the pokey. And I know that there's a massaging of the language now. I hear Democrats starting to talk the kumbaya madness again. And I agree with you earlier when you said it depends on what you're united around, right? I'm a Christian man. Even Jesus said, listen, I know y'all thought I came to bring you peace. He literally said these words. He said, I didn't come to bring you peace. I came to bring you a sword. And he was talking about dividing right and wrong. There has to be a sword of division. It depends on what you are united behind. Here's what is likely to happen. A lot of Democrats are going to say it's time to move on. The chief of those is probably going to be Joe Biden. If Joe Biden takes that any step further, if he says something like he may pardon Trump so that this country can heal, I would then say to Vice President Harris, she needs to invoke the 25th Amendment and remove Joe Biden from being president of the United States. We cannot allow this to stand without a significant, relevant, and in-your-face response from the United States of America. Remember what he's impeached on. The guy's impeached for literally raising an army of radicalized terrorists against the United States of America. Now, hell, if you don't get convicted outside of just a paper trail for that,
that's right.
This is probably your last time to send a clear signal. You're not willing to allow democracy to be this vulnerable or this fragile again.
Yeah, that's such a great point. I want to say two things about it. First of all, I never thought about it that way, Rashad. But that line about "I didn't come to bring you peace, I came to bring you sword to distinguish between right and wrong." You know, another way to summarize that is no justice, no peace.
No peace.
Okay,
that's right, brother.
Turns out Jesus was the first to say.
Yeah.
So God, I just wish that Christians would follow Christ.
Yeah, the real one, not the white guy on the chapel. But we're talking about the radical Messiah of color, the real one. Yes.
Yeah. If they just did that, that's why I say all the time, both because I'm agnostic, but because I want you to read the New Testament because it's so much better than the other documents, right? And by the way, the Quran has wonderful parts of it too.
Yes.
But yes, emphasize the peace, emphasize the justice, emphasize the poor, the needy, and helping one another. That's what I'm here for. And so please read the Bible in that sense. And I appreciate that you brought it up. Now, on to the other point about pardoning. It is unimaginable. It can't. But you know Biden. You know he's thinking about it. You know he is, right? And it will not create more unity. It will create more division. And so let's talk about the precedent that it would set, because Rashad mentioned that, right? Guys, this is really a dangerous thought, but I have to share it with you. If Trump was smarter and he started the violence 2 years earlier, it would have worked. They were already scared out of their minds. The Republicans admitted, they said, yes, many of our Republican colleagues are literally worried about their physical safety and the safety of their families. So they are not going to oppose Trump. Politicians by their nature are not leaders, they are followers. And that's why we have this image of politicians as slimy and not honest. That's because they're basically actors. And then it used to be that at least they were in service of pretending to be for the voters. Now they've dropped that pretense, they're completely in service of their donors. So because they're followers, in this case of their donors, they're cowards. And it's really easy to intimidate them. And so if Trump had started 2 years earlier, the violence likely would have worked. And so if you don't set a precedent now that it will not be tolerated under any circumstance, the next time a wannabe fascist wins, which could be as early as 4 years if we're being honest.
Yeah.
Then they're gonna think, oh, Trump's mistake wasn't starting the violence, it was starting the violence too late. And we can't have that, we just can't. So we've gotta have conviction in the Senate. They should ban him from politics, and then the prosecutions of his actual crimes, both at the federal and state levels, should definitely go forward.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.